You are so awesome.
Hey guys, it worked right tonight. That's weird.
Hey, all
Funny.
right.
Hey, I am Wes, so welcome to Driveway Liberty Podcast. You, my friend, are the enlightened, the few, the folks in the know, unlike everybody apparently in the entire state of New York City. And we're so glad you're here with us tonight. We want to thank you in advance for sharing the podcast with your friends and family. Matter of fact, that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to ask my good buddy Dan. How you doing, Dan?
I'm glad I live in Florida.
Right.
Yep. And
Right.
apparently you can wish the death of your political opponent and his entire family along with his children and still win.
Yeah, isn't that crazy that Jay Jones won and he won pretty big, right? Wasn't that?
Huge.
And I have seen, of course, you can't always believe what you see online, obviously. But I have seen somebody post just before we came on, somebody posted that there's some questions about how the election switched at about 7:40 p.m. last night. Apparently, his opponent was it Mireles or I can't remember the name.
Jason Mayeris.
Myers. So he was up and moving in the right direction significantly, and then all of a sudden he was not.
Well, you gotta keep in mind that the tightening of the election laws around the country happened in mostly red states.
Right.
And Virginia, even though we had a red governor last time around, it's far from a red state. And
No,
if you
yeah,
look, it's funny. How they bring up the screen that shows the color of each county as they bring up each state. The whole entire state of Virginia, on the west side, was completely red, and there was the curve around Washington, D.C. and that area were all blue, and that's the population centers.
Yes.
And, that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight is the population centers are being taken over.
Well, you talk about questionable ethics in elections, and we talk a little bit about the tightening of election laws and how things work. Hey Joe, how's it going, brother? And a couple of these states still don't require ID to vote.
And some of them allow IDs to be given to non-citizens,
Right.
and all you need, and the ones that do need IDs, they're not challenged. I mean, I saw a video where the questions were asked, like, you know, you've passed laws to give non-citizens driver's license from your state, and then they asked the questions of the people who ran the elections, like, how do you determine if somebody's legal to vote? Well, if they're not on the voting rolls and they show us a driver's license, that would meet the challenge, so they'd be allowed to vote.
Right.
It's insane.
It is absolutely insane. I mean,
And you're a racist,
but it's on purpose, though. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to be honest. It is on purpose, and they want illegals voting because illegals give them the free stuff, man.
Yeah, illegals vote
Now,
for them because they get
now we have get sidetracked a little bit. 42 million people that are on SNAP in the United States. Now, the majority of the people on SNAP are American citizens, but a vast majority of the illegals or vast majority of immigrants in this country are actually on SNAP. Like
well, you know what? They're working and they're on SNAP.
Yeah. Well, dude, you know, people, I'm not unsympathetic. If somebody is hungry and they genuinely need assistance and a hand up, I'm not unsympathetic to that. However, I've hired in retail, I've hired in business environments where I've literally had somebody sit down and interview and say, well, now I can't work but so many hours because then I lose my bennies.
Yep.
Lose my benefits. Well, okay, you're collecting benefits. You don't need to work because that was kind of the rule of you collecting bennies. If you can work, you're able to work, then you don't need the bennies.
Well, it used to be you had to work if you could, and the bennies were to get you through until you got that next job.
Right.
And now they're just not working. So,
Yeah.
I mean, how does our system allow people who are capable of working to not work? Just make that decision that I'll only work part-time so I stay below the poverty level, and I can get WIC, I can get SNAP, I can get health insurance for free, basically, all supplemented by people working their tax dollars.
Right.
Do you know the percentage of my household income that I pay for just insurance?
Oh, an ass ton. I mean, that would be my estimate.
It's like 40% for insurance.
Yeah.
Between health, life, homeowners, car insurance.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't get the big tax break deduction because I make too much money. My household makes too much money.
You're absolutely correct, Dan. It is it's a bad thing. By the way, what's it day 36 of the government shutdown? Is everybody doing okay out there? Is anybody starving? Does anybody need any help?
My life is.
I mean, I'm not being sarcastic there.
My life has not changed one iota.
Neither is mine.
Nothing. Now, there's some legitimate people who are in the military that,
yeah,
you know, that are hurting.
And the thing is a lot of people who are actually enlisted in the military, they're still getting checks.
No,
however, the ancillary civil service individuals who work for the bases are not, but they're still working.
Yes, and they'll get paid eventually. But listen, the people if you're on a military salary, in most cases, you're living paycheck to paycheck or close to it, and missing a month's worth of paychecks hurts.
No, you're absolutely right, and there are a lot of people, especially who work I mean, a lot of military personnel, especially like I thought we talked about this last week, E1s to E3s, those guys are living paycheck to paycheck. And those guys don't make a lot of money.
No.
I mean, they make below or less than minimum wage in a lot of cases. So, yeah, absolutely. Now, and I consider us blessed that our lives haven't changed as a result. And like I said, I'm not unsympathetic to those who have. What I'm unsympathetic to are the people who are capable of working that are still collecting checks, and the people who are not even citizens here who are still collecting checks. I'm not unsympathetic to them.
I had somebody who worked with me at one point, legal to work.
Yeah. Had a visa.
Not a citizen, but had a work visa.
Right.
Worked for the corporation I worked for too. He was all legit, and he worked for me in my small business for a little while. And conversations we had, like he's like, well, I can't. Like he didn't get married on purpose,
right?
Because his government benefits would have changed so significantly for his common law wife and 2 kids.
Yeah.
So he chose not to get married.
No, the system is set up to encourage single parent households.
Yeah.
Now, something else I keep seeing the argument that, well, not a lot of illegals are getting health benefits. Unofficially or officially, you may be accurate in saying that. Unofficially, they are still going to the emergency rooms, and somebody is having to pay for that because they're not.
Well, where do the hospitals get money from?
Well, obviously they get money from us, insurers, insurance companies, and from Medicare and Medicaid.
Which is the government.
The government, yes.
Which is our tax dollars.
Sure. My point being is these aren't necessarily Medicare. Sorry, Jeremy. Started fishing.
It's not going to get any better, Jeremy.
It's not going to get any better, man. We got a lot of negativity, but we'll drop some hope on you if you can stick around. I promise.
Give me a slice of reality. Though.
Yeah, but a lot of times the hospitals, the emergency rooms where the illegals are going without official Medicaid or Medicare, the hospitals are having to write that off. Well, when they write that off, what happens? The cost of the entire system goes up. Correct. So in essence, we are still paying for it. It's just indirectly. Anyway, let's talk about some
all debts. Bongino used to say this when he did his show. All debts are paid, period. Either the debtor collects or the debtor eats, which means it's paid.
Yeah.
Either by the person they lent to or gave the service to, or they paid for them. All debts are paid.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's no way around it. It's an economic fact.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of economic facts, we're going to talk about Mandami here in a minute. Well, let's talk about a little of the other stuff that's going around the country. Virginia is not a red state. They had a little purple flash the last couple of years. But not only are they not a red state, but I think they're racist, Dan. Because
how can they be racist? No.
I mean, Obama said when he was supporting Kamala just a year and a half ago that you should vote for Kamala primarily because she's a black woman. Well, in the Virginia governor race, he said the exact opposite. He said you should not vote for a black woman just because she's black. But this, let's talk a little bit about it. Let me pull this up. So the girl on the left, Abigail Spanberger, won the election. She was a Democrat nominee, and she won the governorship. Winsome Earl Sears, who is just a qualified badass, and she's super smart.
Well, she was Youngkin's lieutenant governor, right?
Yeah, she was the lieutenant governor there. She did not win. And it just baffles me how the left is always espousing racism, 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 but they don't put their money where their mouth is. You've got a very qualified candidate in this case, unlike Kamala. Kamala was qualified in other arenas, generally dealing with bedrooms. But in this particular case, you have a very qualified candidate who obviously has good trigger discipline on her firearm as well, which speaks volumes as to the type of person she is. And yet, you voted for the girl on the left that's doing the gang signs or whatever she's doing there with the finger guns. You got finger guns against somebody who can actually use a gun. But what's more concerning about Virginia, who is considered one of the southern states, is who they elected as their lieutenant governor. And let me pull this up real quick. I don't know if everybody at home can see this or not. By the way, be sure to join the conversation if you have comments. And I did some fact checking on some things I said last week, and I put that stuff out there in regard to congressional salaries and stuff like that. So if we say something that's not accurate and you've got proof of it, please share it with us and we'll admit it. You should always fact check us because we're just two dudes normally used to sit in the driveway. Now we're sitting at our houses on camera.
Which have driveways.
Do what?
Which have driveways.
Which have driveways. Accurate. So Ghazala Hashmi, she won the lieutenant governor race in Virginia. And this is her speaking at the Jalsa Salana conference in 2025. And there's a little bit of English that you can actually read in that big slide above the stage. What stands out to you there? I mean, do I need to point it out? That wasn't necessarily rhetorical, but he has named you Muslims. Let that sink in for a minute. That's the mindset. That's the thought process. And that is in Virginia. You know, we think about New York a lot of times being down here in Florida as just being this far off place, this mystical place where they have Broadway shows, and David Letterman once had a TV show, and Statue of Liberty and all that. But Virginia is the state that surrounds our state, our nation's capital. And this is a little close to home to me. You got any thoughts on that, Dan? You fall asleep on me, buddy?
I didn't fall asleep. We'll get into this in depth when we talk about New York, but this is par for the course, you know.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned we haven't mentioned the Prop 50 in New York. I mean, in California, which has immediately been challenged by California Republicans as gerrymandering. But what that does is allows California, who's used the same method for 2.5 decades to draw their district lines, to change how they draw their district lines. And in essence, what it does, the end result of it, is it'll end up giving them 5 more House seats for the Democrats. It doesn't give them a total more House seats, but the way they've redrawn the lines in their districts, it's beneficial to the Democrats. And it allows California to replace 5 Republicans, or at least 5 seats where Republicans actually had a shot with Democrat seats.
It used to be determined by a supposedly nonpartisan committee, which was pretty much partisan.
Right.
But now it's going to be run, if this stands, and it's being challenged legally, by the uniparty in California, the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
They're gonna draw their own lines.
Well,
and you know, the crazy thing about this is in all the polling up until this was on the ballot in yesterday's election, all the polls showed anywhere from mid-80s to mid 90s of the public being against Prop 50. So how do you swing it to 60% for it when the polls showed you were 80-90% against it?
Well, I'll tell you how, Dan, and this is just pure speculation. I'm going to spitball a little bit here. But when you don't require an ID to vote, you don't require people to vote in person.
Yep.
When your party controls the polling areas,
Yep.
sometimes
You just do whatever you want.
you can do whatever the fuck you want. Excuse my language. I know we're trying not to
Do
cut.
whatever you want.
Yeah,
It's hard not to curse.
it is. It absolutely is. But that, in essence, it's. You remember back when the Soviet Union used to vote? Even they still do this in China. They have elections, but the guy in power still wins, right?
Well, where do we just see? Was it Poland? No, Romania, where they had an election and the guy who ran against him, they arrested him.
Yeah,
and they locked him up, and guess what? He didn't win the election. He got locked up.
that'll kind of hurt your chances right there.
Can't campaign very well from jail.
I think it was either Iran or Iraq at one time. It was, where was Saddam at? He was in Iraq.
Iraq, yeah.
So Saddam was up for re-election every term when he was there, but they had people standing at the polls with rifles, and they looked at your ballot before you put it in the box.
Yeah, Deborah Lee. Yeah, this was happening in New Jersey a lot. Multiple red districts were swatted and had bomb threats called in. So and then you had computers that just stopped working in the middle of prime time election time. So listen, when you go, there's a lot of people when you go to vote, and think about it. If you lived in an area where every time you voted, the people you voted for lost in every election during your lifetime, and you went to the polls and the polls were closed because somebody put in a bomb threat and you went home, would you go back?
No.
It's pretty easy to say, well, my vote really doesn't matter anyway. That's the crap they're pulling.
We talked about this last week when we were talking about Yuri Bezmenov's subversion tactics.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they want you to believe your vote doesn't count. They want you to believe you have no say-so in what's going on. And, when they control the media, they control the polling centers like they do in these blue states. It's kind of hard not to believe that,
Well, listen, we need to not roll over and die.
No, absolutely not.
Because listen, there's a lot of depressing crap that's happening right now. And hopefully this is a reality check for a lot of people who thought, I just elected Trump and everything's okay. Everything's going to be fine. We elected Trump. He's going to fix everything. That's not how it works. No. It's a start. It's a step. It's one of the things that have to be done.
Well, it's like we said back a year or two ago, we actually made a T-shirt about this. You've got to be your own hero.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see change in this world, I know this is cliche, you've got to be that change in this world. You've got to take an active part in what's happening in this world. And the reason I've starting the show with saying that you are the enlightened, you are the ones in the know. The only way to get the word out, because we're fighting against media bias, we're fighting against loud voices, we're fighting against people who don't have jobs that are sitting there trolling on social media all the time. The only way that we can combat this is if you and I and everybody that thinks like us take an active part in making sure that people are in the know. Because logic and reason will win out if we can present it.
And are held accountable. We need to start holding our elected officials accountable to the things they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
How many times does that happen where, listen, Obama got elected and sold everyone a bill of goods. And for 8 years, he gave you an excuse that George Bush screwed it up so bad that that's how he got reelected. I need 4 more years. That's how bad it was. I didn't realize how bad it was. And literally did the opposite of what he told you he was going to do.
Oh, absolutely. And there was, I wish I'd have saved this video for the show, and I do this all the time. I'll see something during the week, and I'm like, I need to save this for next week's show. The architect behind Obamacare, he's like, no, we purposely sold this as you could keep your doctor, you keep all this, when we knew it was bullshit. He's on camera saying that.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely are, Mike. Our kids are definitely brainwashed, and sadly, we've all gone out to seek alternative careers. Conservatives didn't want to teach because, those who can do, those who can't teach. That's typically what's happened. And what's happened is all of these, goat roping degrees or these underwater basket weaving degrees who couldn't find real jobs have gone into teaching. And so they are perpetuating this liberal philosophy to everybody to all of our kids.
Well,
that's why we've got to be teachers at home as well.
I have worked overtime in my household and in my extended family to counter the brainwash. And understand this, and some of you know this, I've shared this many times on the show, that I was one of the brainwashed for most of my life until about halfway through Obama's second term. So think about that. So 2014-ish, in that time period. So, it's been just a little over a decade. And I have some older kids that have children of their own. And I've spent the past 11 years trying to make sure that my kids are not brainwashed. They all went to college. My son's in college now. My daughter's about to graduate from high school. She's going to go to college. And I've literally made it my mission to make sure my kids don't come back like brainwashed kids that we see. I won't allow it. And I don't do it forcefully. I do it through, like, I sit down my kids have had sleepovers where I've sat down at dinner and had discussions about the Electoral College at the time, because that was a hot button with all the young kids and getting rid of the Electoral College.
Right.
Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. All that BS that they did. Like, I make sure that happens. Are we doing our part? That's something you can do that doesn't cost anything.
Right.
So are we doing that? Are we making sure that our kids are not susceptible to this?
That's a great point.
You can answer that question. And listen, there's a lot of times where we get on here and we're like, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know what to do. This is something in your own house that you can do.
You start in your own home. You start in paying attention what's being taught at your kids' schools.
Mm-hmm.
You start ensuring that we hold people accountable for giving factual information in regard to politics, citizenship, and civics. And a big one, because apparently nobody in the state of New York understands economics, is economics. Speaking of the state of New York.
And wait, before you do that, and we have to know what we're talking about too.
Sure.
Because our kids are smart. They have access to information that we did not have. Kids can smell the BS. So make sure you're armed with facts and knowledge doing this. Don't just pull the because I said so parent.
No, absolutely not. And the beauty of that is iron sharpens iron. So if you say something online and your kid goes and researches it, number one, they're showing an interest. Yeah. Number two, they may come back with new information that you didn't have that can make you say, oh, you know what? You're right. Good job on looking that up. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now let's sit down and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, how they doing it in New York? They're not, brother. Let's look at these. Let's look at these results. So, all right, wait. Let's say, all right. I got a live picture from New York that I want to show everybody real quick. Here's a live picture from New York. Oh, I'm sorry. That's one that everybody seems to have forgotten about in New York right now. My bad. So, a Muslim socialist who made no apologies about his socialism told everybody exactly what he wanted to do, has gone into the economic mecca of the world. Some people may argue it's Hong Kong, but New York is where Wall Street is, where the S&P, where the
Any argument against that is pure semantics.
Sure. The financial capital of the world. A socialist has gone in and won the mayoral race.
Handily.
But I mean, next closest opponent was the incumbent, and he's not.
No, he was the former governor.
I'm sorry.
Killed old people during COVID.
Yeah, so
what a great. And then the Republican candidate didn't even get double digits, and he's wearing a red freaking beret in his pictures.
Sliwa, at one point, he was a prominent figure, but he didn't have a shot in hell.
It's like we're not even trying, man.
Well, and that's the thing. You've got to ask yourself, how do these people, and we talked about being in New York a little bit last week when we talked about this race before it happened. They assume everybody that lives outside of the city of New York is just a bunch of country bumpkins. But I'd argue that it's the opposite of that. They're not country bumpkins, they're city bumpkins, because they have no understanding of how economics really works. You know, you keep seeing, and part of the argument for Mondami from these kids, what?
Wes, New York looks like California. If you look at the map.
No. And I'm talking about the city. I'm talking about the city. I'm not talking about the state.
Oh, I thought you said people outside in the city.
What I'm saying is the people in the city think that people that live outside of the city are just a bunch of bumpkins.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
When it's the opposite, they're the bumpkins because they have no real knowledge of how economics works, how government actually works. One of the arguments from Donnie was that, real socialism's never been tried. You keep hearing that from these kids that are socialists. Well, no, it hasn't, but real capitalism's never been tried either. But fake capitalism or partial capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other economic system in the world. It's the fake capitalists here in the United States. The rest of the world asks for money. But that being said, you know, socialism's killed more people than any other economic system on the planet.
The real socialism argument, or they didn't do it, is crap. Like they've done it many times, and it doesn't work. It kills people.
Yes.
And their answer is, well, they just didn't do it right. Our version's better. Democratic socialism.
The only way socialism actually happens is that once you've got somebody in power that believes in an economic system, is they force real socialism to happen. That's the only way that it's going to do it. Now, they've elected this guy. They say they want it, but what he's going to present is not real socialism. It actually is real socialism.
Well, here's what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. There are elites around the globe. The George Soroses, the guy who runs Larry Fink, the guy who runs BlackRock, all these the groups that influence the globalists that have money are going to fund this socialist takeover of New York City so that it appears to be something that's working. They're going to pay for it so they can show that it's working.
Well, here's the problem.
But it doesn't work without other people's money.
Right. Let's talk about what Madami's promised going into this. Permanently eliminate fares on all city buses. All right. So you got to pay for gas. You got to pay for wear and tear on the buses. You got to pay the drivers. He's going to provide free universal child care for all children between 6 weeks and 5 years old. Now, I'm not sure what the definition of universal child care is. Is that health care or is that daycare centers? Daycare centers being indoctrination centers. That's what that is.
That's what that is.
He's going to freeze rent increases for nearly 1 million rent stabilized apartments. How are you going to get your toilet fixed if that guy can't, the landlord can't afford to fix it? Your boiler goes out, which is something we don't understand in Florida. Your heater goes out. Mike Leonardi's he's an AC guy over in Panama City Beach. He could probably tell you the difference. Launch a pilot program to open 5 city-owned grocery stores, which he came out today and said they will not be selling alcohol, tobacco, or cigarettes.
Or lottery tickets.
Why? Because that's against the
religion. What
religion?
The
religion.
Muslim religion.
Right. Which I don't think government should be running grocery stores, number one. But if they do, they should be selling.
Church separation of church and state, Wes. Isn't that a big argument from the left?
Look at what he's going to raise the city's minimum wage to.
Buy a cheeseburger in New York.
Dude, we're finding this out in Florida because for some reason, a couple of election cycles ago, our state decided it was a good idea to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour because it's a livable wage. Well, what happens when you do that?
It's not a livable wage because everything goes up.
Everything else goes up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I could look. Every time I see these kind of things printed online, I just post a picture of Thomas Sowell's book.
We had this debate. We had this debate in the driveway with people who are our neighbors the night that was happening.
Yes.
And now one of the people who screamed loudly that livable wage, blah, 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 is now a small business owner understanding the realities of what we presented that night. And that person thought we were full of shit.
Absolutely. And this is a good point that Deborah Lee's making right here. Because I saw this as well, Deborah Lee. So after the first of the year, you're going to see a mass exodus of police officers. It's probably going to leave about 30,000 police officers. What's the population of New York City? It's like 30 million. I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats.
It's large.
But that's going to leave roughly 30,000 police officers to police this entire city. Now, granted, all of these cabal members, Soros guys, and all of these globalists may be funneling money in there, but crime is going to skyrocket, dude.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me give you some details.
Okay, buddy. Lay it on.
The promises that this guy has laid out. He said that he's going to divest New York City's pension funds from any Israeli bonds and securities. He's going to withdraw city funds from banks that lend to or do business with Israel. End city contracts with companies doing business with Israel. Operates city-run grocery stores without Israeli products. Investigate real estate agents marketing in the West Bank. Evict weapons manufacturers and transporters from New York City metro area. He's going to end the New York Police Department Strategic Response Group. You know what that is?
Yeah.
That's the group that responds to riots, protests, major incidents. They handle crowd control. And
yes.
He's going to get rid of the entire thing. He's also going to reinstate the professors that were fired at the City University of New York. So that was the 4 Brooklyn College adjuncts that were dismissed because they were activists, like jihadist activists. And they fired him. So he's going to demand them be reinstated. He's going to dismantle the prior New York City Israeli Economic Council. He's going to remove all nonprofit status from charities that raise money for anything to do with Israel. You get a theme? Is there a theme going here, folks?
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a little something here.
He's literally going to, like, I have a graphic of all of his tweets. I sent it to you, Wes, but it wasn't something that you could read, so we're not using it on the show. But it's literally about 20 different tweets from his account talking about defunding and dismantling the New York Police Department.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're going with that. Let's listen to a little bit of his acceptance speech from last night.
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. Taking advantage of their tenants. We will put an end to the culture of corruption that has allowed billionaires like Trump to evade taxation and exploit tax breaks. We will stand alongside unions and expand labor protections because we know, just as Donald Trump does, that when working people have ironclad rights, the bosses who seek to extort them become very small indeed. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
That sounds like a threat of war. Is what that sounds like.
Well, listen,
I mean, just a little bit. That last line.
Well, he's warning them. You send ICE or you send a National Guard in, like he's done with other cities. That he's calling to arms. You're calling to the people to not allow it to happen.
And yet he's going to remove all weapons manufacturers from the city. He's going to get rid of
all the police.
The police. So it's just going to be this. It's going to be Kurt Russell's Escape from New York. Is what it's going to be.
Well, the thing we have to remember is, or the thing that we have to learn is this isn't what it looks like. This isn't like the left and socialism and a socialist takeover. That's not what this is.
Right.
This is Muslim jihad. This is Islamic jihad. The bombs, the backpack bombs, the blow up your car and you get 70 virgins tactic doesn't work in a country like the United States of America. It didn't even work in Europe. They were trying to blow it up and scare people with terrorism for years. It didn't work.
Right.
So what they've done is they've opened the borders, used the dumb ass left to open the borders. They infiltrate cities like New York, Minneapolis, multiple areas of the country.
Detroit.
that now
Detroit
have
is-
massive Muslim, Islamic populations, and they are learning how to win via the political process. So they are going to destroy us from within. And I'd watch videos of the imams that are doing speeches in, just like this guy you just listened to had thousands of people cheering on like a bunch of idiotic seals their own demise.
Yes.
The imams are pledging. It's written in their religious doctrine that you will be a Muslim or you're going to get killed. So the long game is they're going to take over our politics and our institution. This is what they're trying to do. Take over our politics and our institutions, and then slowly work. Our kids, they've even said it. The imams have said, we're going to take your women and your kids are going to be Muslim. This is the jihad that has been involved in the Middle East for thousands of years.
Well, you can look at London. London.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is a prime example of this right now.
Well, they have this another version of this guy as their mayor in London, and
Yes.
London's fucking destroyed.
Yep.
Pardon my French.
Well, it is a sad state indeed. There's probably a lot of people who are looking to escape New York, and so we thought we would pull up this helpful map to let everybody know where Florida was on the map. If you're in New York, share this with all your friends in New York. This is where Florida is right here. And so you're welcome to go there.
The gray area. Go to the
Gray area. The gray area. Yes. That's where you should go. So, all right. So we said in the beginning of the cast, there's a lot of things to be concerned with, and there absolutely is. But what you're going to see in the news, and you're already seeing it probably, and in social media, you're seeing it across certain social media, is this is some sort of mandate on the way that Trump and the Republican controlled Congress is legislating. Take heart, it is not. Every one of these states where these victories have occurred, that we're sitting back in our red states and we're just aghast. We are losing our mind. We're like, how in the hell has this happened? These are all blue state hellholes already.
Yeah, New Jersey, Virginia, California, they're all
yes. Yeah. All we can do is we pray to our maker. We can that these people somehow see the light and the error of their ways, and somehow that impacts them. But take heart, my friends. These are not the real America anymore.
Well, we can't let it be.
Right.
Like this will happen. It will happen if we let it.
No, you're absolutely right, because that's the plan. And I think I mentioned a few weeks ago, I mean, one of the things that I learned when I was studying political science in college and history is that the Western culture, we have very short memories. And you can see that snippets of that in our political memory now. I mean, what was it? It's 2 months ago now that or a month and a half ago that Charlie Kirk's funeral happened, right? Or as what was it, September 17th or the 10th? It was the 10th when he was shot. So
yeah, October 17th is his birthday, right?
Yeah. But so we're basically 5 days from 2 months from when he's gone. And we were, as conservatives, reinvigorated. That's one of the reasons you and I decided to come back and do this cast.
Mm-hmm.
And we were reinvigorated, but that, if you look, that enthusiasm has waned a little bit already. Western or Middle Eastern and Asian cultures, they have extremely long memories, and they play the long game.
Because their religion is their culture.
The religion is their culture.
and it's their political system.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, you are absolutely correct. You cannot argue with a Democrat, but there are those in the middle. That's it. And you own a business, so you understand management principles. When there's a management principle called the 80-20 rule, where the top 10% of performers are going to perform regardless of what you say or do. They're going to do their best on their job every day. The bottom 10%, no matter what you do, no matter how much money you throw at them, how many raises you give them, they are not going to perform, and you actually just need to get rid of them. But there's that middle 80%. And politically speaking, it's even smaller than 80%. I would say 40%, maybe 50% in the middle, with 25 and 25 on both ends. If you can reach those people in the middle and show them that, oh, why are we worried about these trans folks over here because of this? Or why are we worried about, it's no big deal. They elected, Islam's cool, freedom of religion and whatnot. If we can reach them and show them that, and that socialism is definitely not the way to go from an economic standpoint, and get them engaged in the political conversation, that's a win for us. So you're right. You can't argue with a Democrat, but there's a lot of people in the middle. And we've already seen a lot of people in the middle pushed over to the conservative side. We just need to grab a few more of those and bring them over here.
Yeah, but they need to act. They need to get off their ass. They need to be politically active. They need to hold their elected officials accountable. They need to run for office. We need people to be involved.
We do.
And if we don't, we're letting the people who are involved run it. And you saw a video of the people who are involved. Those people are freaking committed.
They are.
It's their religion.
Yep. Somebody was arguing with me the other day.
If we allow them.
I'm not going to get into local politics today, but somebody was talking to me about somebody that's announced that they were running. And that this guy was from the country. He's running for county commissioner. And this person, I obviously won't name their name, was saying, well, he needs to start wearing a tie, and he needs to start looking like he belongs in office. And my argument for that is, actually, he doesn't. If you're going to run for office and you're genuine about it and your heart's in the right spot, you're an ethical person, you need to look like you're part of the people that you're going to represent.
That's part of the problem. Is we are our expectation. When I say I mean the masses.
Collectively, yes.
Collectively, the expectation is they're looking for whatever their version of the perfect person is. They speak well. They're pretty. They talk well. They're orators. And when you get those people, they're usually dumb as shit.
Yeah.
And everything they say is manipulative. It's a version of a lie that is nothing to do with getting the things that you need done. It's telling you what you want to hear so that you vote for them. And then they get into office. How many times do we have people that have gotten into office and told us what they were going to do, and we loved it on both sides of the aisle? It doesn't matter which political party you're talking about. It happens with all of them. They've made all these beautiful promises. This is going to be great, blah, 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 blah. And they get into office and they don't do any of it.
Well, and it goes back to that public.
Every election, this is what happens.
It goes back to that public memory that I was talking about. It's easy for me to say, look, man, I'm going to go up here and do all this stuff, and you vote for me and you put me in office, and you're not watching me anymore until I do something that has a negative impact on you. Not a positive impact, a negative impact. And the next thing you know, you're lambasting me. You said you were going to do this. But we do this with our pastors too, man. We expect them to be perfect individuals and not make mistakes. And then when you get in that office, you're in a glass house. I find myself.
That's why good people don't run.
You're right. You're
Like the
absolutely
best of us do not run for office because the people will tear them to shit on the way in
yeah.
and on the way out.
And while they're there,
Yeah.
it's a thankless job. It really is. However, there are other ways for us to be engaged and have a positive impact on this stuff.
Did you hear what Trump said after Mandami said, turn up the volume? He put a True Social out. They put it on Twitter. It said, in all caps, and so it begins. Trump understands what's happening.
There's one other thing that I want to bring up about Mandami's speech. He's sitting there, and all socialists do this. It's not just him. Is they are bashing these billionaires. How many jobs just in New York alone with the buildings that Trump has built? How many people has he paid and kept in jobs, good paying jobs, because it's all union up there with his money?
Thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Thousands.
And the people who work for him have nothing but wonderful things to say about him.
And not just him. Even
his company.
No, I get that. What I'm saying is, poor people don't hire you. You can't get a job from a poor person. And for us to sit here and just bash rich people, it's a false dichotomy. It's a false narrative.
Well, you're telling us that all this stuff is going to be free. The people who, in a legitimate world, the people who pay for it are the people who he's saying is your enemy.
Well,
and he's sitting there saying, we won't allow you to actually take the tax breaks that are legal. Like part of his speech was, we will not allow the loopholes. They're the law.
The loopholes are the law. That's exactly right. So he's going to change the tax law.
How are you, as the mayor of New York, going to stop somebody from fucking taking a deduction on their taxes?
Well, they've got.
How are you going to do that?
They've got a city income. Bullshit. They've got a city income tax, Dan.
And they're like, ooh, yay!
They don't understand it.
Our savior.
You see the man on the street videos coming up to this election. They're like, why are you voting for Mandami? He hates white people. He hates Jews. He's expressed this hate.
Oh, he's a massive anti-Semite. Massive. And like wants to kill them all.
He's already said he would arrest Netanyahu if he comes in.
And what's in New York? The UN building, all the major global meetings are there. There's tons of meetings there. So Netanyahu is going to come to New York at some point. And I bet you this asshole won't arrest him. He can't. I don't understand why they let him keep his so he's a naturalized
citizenship.
Why did they let him keep that? Why would they let these people?
Well, there's an investigation going on right now saying that he did not he misled on his application for naturalized citizenship.
Well, he's not. That's not a permanent.
But what's that do? That looks like sour grapes.
So at this point, you go shoot the general of the army that's trying to conquer you. That's sour grapes.
Sure.
And I'm not saying somebody should shoot anybody. I'm just using it as an analogy. Like this is a war, people. This is a war.
It is.
They stopped blowing shit up, and now they're taking over our government. And they're doing it in the population centers that we have allowed them to take over. It almost happened in Minneapolis. The freaking guy who's like, I'm the captain now, almost won.
He did.
A guy who's waving a Somali flag
almost won the election.
Almost won. And instead you got the incumbent who's a freaking radical leftist. It's like, which shit sandwich do we want? I think they picked the right shit sandwich because at least it's the enemy we know.
Yeah.
And it's not the political, religious, cultural bomb that is Islam.
Right.
Because that's what this is. And listen, if they call me an Islamophobe or any of that crap, I don't care. Like, you're not going to shame me out of understanding what you're trying to do to our country and to our culture, to Western civilization.
Exactly.
That's the war. And until people wake up and understand that, you're going to see thousands of barking seals cheering for this guy just because they all have TDS, like Mike said, and you use Donald Trump as the bad guy. So anything you say after that is fine. It's stuff we're going to cheer for. Yay! Yeah, do it. In the meantime, he wants to kill you. Like, wants you dead.
Right.
And he's going to take your children and convert them to a religion where you're not allowed to drink, you're not allowed to smoke, you're not allowed to buy lottery tickets. And pretty soon in New York, I guess you're not going to be able to do that stuff.
Well, they're not going to be able to do a lot of things, Dan, because you're going to be broke as shit. Because all
and they're not going to have any police force.
There is going to be a massive flight of both cops and anybody of any wealth. Because if we go back and look at Mondami's campaign promises, anybody that makes over $1 million annually is going to have they're going to add 2% income tax. That's city income tax. That's in addition to state. That's in addition to federal taxes. That's just a New York City tax for living in that city and earning an income in that city.
And how many people have money are going to stay?
Not very many. That's one reason why I want to make sure that everybody up there understands this gray area is.
Well, you talked about it earlier that New York City is the economic capital of the world.
It is.
And
was. Let's use past tense at this point.
Yeah, you're right. It was. The big companies that are there, the Morgan Stanley Chases, there's the big financial companies now have more employees in their offices in Texas. Most of it's in Dallas. There's some other areas. More employees there than they do in New York.
Well, and that's if we're going to be rewarding. I've noticed that Senator Rick Scott came out today and he tweeted, "We welcome all Floridians trying to escape the hellhole up there in New York." If they're bringing jobs and economic prosperity with them, yes.
Yeah, but the problem you have now is the leftists are fleeing.
Yeah, and that's problematic if they're fleeing to places like here or Texas.
They already have.
Montana.
And they're still fleeing. You've seen it where people have moved to the Panhandle. Yes, thank God we live in the Panhandle.
Yeah.
But the Panhandle is being usurped as we speak.
Yeah, there are more leftists moving in the area than that I'm comfortable with.
Like, we have to act, people.
So that's the message for tonight. There is still hope. You still live in a red state if you don't live in New York, California, Virginia, Minnesota. Michigan is teetering. Illinois, if you don't live in those states, there's still hope. But for that hope to grow and become a reality, we have to take an active role in what.
The other problem is the people.
And I'm trying to be positive.
The other problem you have is the people who actually live in those areas that could make it better and fix the problem are leaving. So all that's left is the perpetuators.
Well, the governor put a poll out. Did I show that graphic already? Ron DeSantis, Heavy D, put this poll out today. In response to the Mamdani election, should we build a Florida border wall, which at the time I took the screenshot was winning, tariff all transplants, which if we're talking about getting rid of property taxes may not be a bad idea, or recruit new transplants. And obviously my tweet was, well, why don't we just go ahead and secede while the government's shut down and we'll just do our own thing. And then we'll just allow the best and brightest to come in and live with us here. And I'm sure we could probably get another state or two to come in and we'll just do our own thing, man. I've been saying we should secede for years, but that's just me.
Well, yeah. That's a whole different discussion because
That
there's some problems that go along with that.
There are, but that is also a solution where you just pull the Band-Aid off and you become a new country and you.
So Deborah Lee, I saw that meme or tweet that had the Statue of Liberty in Florida. I thought it was pretty funny too.
Yeah, they and I'll put this on the screen so people watching on other platforms can see what we're talking about. I've also seen one where they've got it dressed in a hijab. Statue of Liberty.
Well, listen, that's a real thing, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, don't be intimidated by their shaming and their use of. We've lived through we're racist, we're bigots, we're xenophobes, we're
misogynist,
KKK, misogynist, the whole glass ceiling bullshit, the Me Too movement. We've survived all of that shit. Don't let Islamophobia be the thing that undoes us.
I want to clarify the Me Too movement was about rape in Hollywood, so I don't know that applies to that particular conversation, but
because it was a guy thing. It's a misogyny.
Okay, there you go, fair. But yeah, those terms, it's like Mike said earlier, you can't argue with a Democrat. That's because what they're going to do is once you start winning the argument is they're going to start calling you names to try to shut you up. Don't allow that to happen anymore.
Well, just ignore it. I mean, you call me a racist or a xenophobe or an Islamophobe, I just laugh at you.
I laugh at you and say that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. So next week we will try to be a lot more positive than we are. Hopefully we'll have some positive news by next week. I assume now that the Democrats are done helping Mondami win the election that they will come in and vote for government reopen now.
No,
but we'll see what happens.
No, they won't. Well, this is something that we didn't talk about is like the latest thing that Trump is pushing is to nuke the filibuster so that we can open the government. We can pass all of his basically a lot of his executive orders, put them into law so that they can't easily be undone.
Right.
And then put the filibuster back in place. The problem is
that's going to be a tool that will be used against them later.
Yeah, but they're going to use it anyway. They're going to use it anyway.
Yeah.
So they've been talking about packing the court, etc. It may be time to use their own things against them, but at the same time, there's at least 30 Republicans who won't vote for it.
Well, I can't say that I'm in favor of that, to be honest with you. But
desperate times, brother, desperate times.
I understand.
You're not going to get anything done. And then the midterms, if we lose, what are we, 5 seats up in the House?
Yeah.
We lose 6 seats, and now it's just going to be impeachment all over again.
Sure.
The last 2 years of Trump's final term are going to be spent in the same way his first term started.
Well, and
nothing's going to get done.
Well, they need to go ahead and get some shit done. There's no doubt about it. And they need to make them permanent because executive orders aren't permanent.
And that's the idea behind it. Make it the majority, put all these things in the law, and do it before they do it to us.
Well, do it and show the world that it works.
Yeah.
That's the key because that's how you win the midterms.
Sure.
So with that being said, you guys go have a great week. Talk to somebody about what's going on in this world. Know that we right here love you. And if you are in need, there are several, let me list a couple of organizations just here in Walton County. You got Karen and Sharon who have told me they have lots of food and stuff available. There's the food shelter on 331 at the church. I forget the name of the church, but it's just south of the Bay Restaurant. And there are several other organizations in Walton, Okaloosa, Bay, surrounding counties. If you're not in Florida and you're watching this, I'm sure if you do a search locally, you can find a food bank, somebody can help you get through if you need some help. If you're military, I know that a couple of the insurers, I know that a lot of the credit unions are giving either low or zero interest short-term loans to help you get through. There's help out there. And I also, let me encourage you as a conservative. We always bitch and complain about government uh, entitlements. Well, government is taking that over because I think to some degree, we as Christians, people part of churches, people in our community have failed to help others, and government stepped in, and it's just been kind of easier to let them do that. Let's show everybody that we don't need government to do this for our fellow men out there, and show some compassion and help them out. And let me encourage you to do that as well. And while you do it, you let them know I'm a conservative and I care about you, because that's been a narrative for 30 years that Republicans don't care about anybody but themselves. And that's one of the biggest lies that's ever been perpetuated in politics in the last 30 years. So at least I think so. Anyway, you got anything else to add to that, Dan?
Nope. Stay strong. Get involved. Don't throw in the towel.
Absolutely. Guys, go have a great week, and stay strong, stay in the know. And we'll see you next time on the Driveway Liberty podcast.
You are so awesome.
There you go, Danny Boyd. I think that was a good show, man. I tried to keep it positive. I tried to play a little bad cop or good cop. You're a bad cop when you started getting fired up.
Are we?
You know who Deborah Lee McCormick
still live?
is? No.